You know, they say if you want to know where an artist is headed, you've got to look back at where they came from. Today, we're digging into the roots of the artist Rods.Wave to really understand the story behind his music and his seriously ambitious future.
And I mean, before we can even begin to talk about all the big EPs and mixtapes he's got meticulously planned,
And way before we get to the honestly kind of insane ambition of dropping 2 full-length albums in just 1 year,
we've got to go back. We have to get the full story, the real story of where it all started. Because trust me, that's the key to everything that comes next.
all right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about the guy behind the name, Demetri Pierce. For him, you'll see that the line between his life and his art, it's basically non-existent. His music is literally a mirror of his personal journey.
And that's the thing you really need to get about all this. Rods.Wave, it's not just some cool stage name he picked. It's like a living diary of Demetri Pierce's life. A life that was completely defined by this massive shift, moving from the intense energy of the Bronx to the very, very different pace of North Carolina.
And believe me, that shift, it changes everything. So, like any good story, let's start at the very beginning. We're talking a household in the Bronx, New York. So this gives you a picture of what his early life was like, right? This was not a small, quiet house. His parents meet back in 2005, and together they raised 4 kids. So you can imagine a full, probably chaotic, and super layered upbringing. But of course, life never stays the same, does it? In 2016, a huge shift happens. His parents get divorced. And that one event just kicks off this whole chain reaction of change. A year later, they move to Raleigh, North Carolina, and then spend the next few years rebuilding, eventually finding stability in a new, bigger home. This timeline isn't just a list of dates. It's a story of resilience.
I mean, look at this. This really shows you just how massive that change was. Can you even imagine going from the nonstop energy and just the whole vibe of the Bronx to a totally different pace of life in North Carolina? This wasn't just moving to a new house. It was like hitting the reset button on his entire world.
Okay, so in the middle of all this chaos and change, something really powerful starts to emerge. A new kind of influence, a new kind of stability, and it came from the entrepreneurial spirit of his mom.
And this part right here, this is so important to his story. His mom, Dr. Natasha Guess, she didn't just put their family life back together, she went out and built a business from scratch. She started her own consulting firm, she even created and hosted her own podcast. Think about growing up in that environment. You're watching your mom build an entire empire, using her own voice to lead. That's not just a random detail. That's a foundational influence.
And right there, that's the heart of it. The divorce, moving to a new state, seeing that incredible entrepreneurial drive up close and personal, all of that stuff mixes together to create a one-of-a-kind perspective. And really, what is art if it's not turning your unique perspective into something everyone else can feel? So you take all of that rich, complicated background, and you use it as fuel. And that's when the artist we now know as Rods.Wave really starts to take shape. All those life experiences, they finally start finding an outlet in his music.
And man, just look at how fast it all started happening in 2024. It's wild. In June, you have the very first spark, just a few songs on BandLab. Then by July, he's already exploring his spiritual side with a gospel track. Come August, he's found his confidence, dropping tracks like Haters and Corvette. And then, get this, by November, he's already moved past just messing around and has put together a structured, official 3-song EP. The growth in just a few months it's incredible.
Okay, so that brings us from where he's been to where he's going. Because this isn't a story about some raw talent just hoping for the best. No, this is about a clear, super ambitious, and meticulously planned out blueprint for success.
Just take a look at the game plan for 2026. This isn't some wish list, you know? This is a schedule. We're talking singles, EPs, and not 1, but 2 full mixtapes. The sheer amount of work and the structure here, it tells you everything you need to know about his work ethic and his vision.
But here's the thing, 2026, that's just the warm-up. The main event, the real arrival, that's all slated for 2027.
Yep, you see that right, 2. He's planning to release not 1, but 2 full-length studio albums in the same year. I mean, that's a level of ambition you almost never see from any artist, let alone someone just getting started.
And these aren't just ideas, we've got the details. An 18-song album called Wait, Is the Pain Over?, followed by a super personal 15-song project that's just called Demetri. Do the math. That's 33 new songs. This is what the whole journey we've been talking about has been building towards.
So after all that, you might be asking, why does all this backstory matter so much? Well, it's because this story, this history, it's the root system that's going to support everything that's about to grow.
So let's just run it back real quick. Born in the Bronx, forged in the fire of a major life transition, rebuilt and redefined in North Carolina, all while being inspired by a powerhouse entrepreneurial mother. And now he's channeling every single piece of that into building this massive catalog as Rods.Wave.
So here's the bottom line. This isn't just hype. This is documentation. This is the before picture. It's the essential context so that when all this music finally drops, we'll all understand the true weight and the real story behind every single track.
So, we've seen the roots, we've seen the soil, the whole environment that shaped the artist. The only question that's left is, with a foundation this deep and this real, are you ready for what's about to grow from it?